Good morning, dear my students. So my name is Biradar. So today I am going to explain about the ignition system concept. This belongs to module 3 in automobile engineering subject. Okay, so ignition system, why we required this ignition system, and how this ignition system will work in the vehicles, and what are the different types of ignition systems which we are using in the automobile vehicles nowadays. Okay, first of all we will understand what you mean by ignition system. Ignition system is nothing but it is a system of an IC engine that produces a spark to ignite the mixture of given air fuel mixture to run the vehicle. That is called as an ignition system. Again, here there are three different types of systems we are using in vehicles that we will study in the later. First of all, we will understand what is the how ignition system work in the vehicles. So ignition systems, the main parts are here I mentioned in the diagram. This is complete circuit diagram for the ignition system process. So here ignition systems are parts are, first one is battery, next ignition coil, condenser, here contact breaker, and distributor, and rotor, and the spark plug. These are the main parts of an ignition system. Okay, now so this ignition system work in the two cycle or two circuit. The first circuit include the parts, main parts are battery, that is ignition system, and condenser, and distributor. This is the first cycle. Second circuit include the ignition coil, and while working it will take the whole rotor also. This is about the second part. So first we will understand what you mean by battery, what you mean by ignition coil, what you mean by condenser, what you mean by contact breaker, what you mean by the distribution work in the ignition system. As you know, battery is nothing but to supply the power to the some component. Ignition coil in this system consists of two parts mainly, that is primary winding and the secondary winding. Primary winding contains a less number of coils as compared to secondary winding, and the contact here the contact breakers include the two parts, that is a condenser, and here some camshaft will be adapted. Okay, and distribution consists of rotor based on the four-stroke cylinder engine, two-stroke engine. The rotors spark plugs are used. Okay, now so how it will work, let us see. So battery, from the battery we are supplying battery consists of normally two terminology. One is positive, one is negative terminal. From positive terminal, battery will supply to the current to the ignition coil around normally 12 voltage. Okay, now this is the minimum voltage to supply the battery to ignition coil. From the ignition coil, the same current will flow to the contact breaker here. From the contact breaker through some wires. Okay, in contact breaker, I will explain this part. In contact breaker there are two main parts. First one is a condenser, one more is a camshaft. So as the current passes from the induction coil to contact breaker, here the cam is connected to the crankshaft. As a crankshaft rotates in a vehicle, so cam is also rotate. As this cam is come top to this, so this contact breaker will break between these two parts. So at this moment there is no voltage transfer between these parts. Only the voltage will produces, or voltage will passes through only in the condenser part. I will repeat here. As a 12 voltage current is passing from the induction coil, it will transfer to the contact breaker. Here there are two main parts, condenser and contact breaker. In contact breaker, having a cam that is connected to the crankshaft of the vehicle. As this crankshaft is rotated, this cam is also rotate towards this breaker parts. As this reaches to this, here some break will be takes place. So at this moment there is no current voltage is passing between these parts. Only the current will be there, remain same in the condenser. The main function of the condenser is to absorb the arc produced during this, and it will collapse the magnetic field. As this 12 voltage current, due to this a magnetic field is produces in the secondary coil due to high voltage. Okay, now magnetic field is produces in the secondary coil, that it will produce a very large amount of current from the secondary coil. A high voltage around 12,000 to 30,000, it may extend up to 30 voltage also. The high voltage is passes, or high voltage current electricity is passes in the distributor. In the distributor there are four distributor will be there. Each distributor is connected spark plug. Okay, now this example I am taking 4-cylinder engine. Okay, this rotor in distribution, a rotor part will be there at the center. As the name indicate, rotor is the main function of rotor is to rotate. Rotating part is called as rotor. As the rotor rotator, each distributor, the high voltage which what we are passing from the secondary coil around 13,000 volt, or it may be 30,000 volt. Okay, now as the rotor connect or as a rotor rotate to reach this first distribution, that is first part, this high electricity passes to this. Similarly it will rotate one rotation. As a full one rotation it takes place, all the high voltage will be passes to this distribution part, and this part is connected to spark plug. From this high voltage will transfer to spark plug at same time, same voltage. Okay, now, and this spark plug is connected in the engine cylinder. As you know, this is a basic concept. As the spark plug is connected in the cylinder, as a high voltage transfer from distributor to spark plug, here combustion takes place. As you know, combustion takes place in the engine cylinder, and due to this a very large amount of power is coming out from the cylinder. Then this power is used to run the vehicle, or to given vehicle can move on the road. So this is the main concept of an ignition system. Okay, I will repeat once again the basic concept of this. Ignition system is nothing but it is the system of an IC engine that produces a spark to ignite the mixture of given a fuel mixture to run the vehicles. How means, here this working principle is used. Okay, now battery supplies the power, that is maybe from small amount of power will supply the battery to the ignition coil. In ignition coil again there are two winding will be there, primary winding and secondary winding. Primary winding contains the less number of coil as compared to secondary. As here I shown red mark belongs to primary winding, and maximum coil belongs to secondary coiling. As the 12 voltage current is passing through this contact breaker, from the contact breaker here there are two parts, cam and condenser. So okay, now he has as cam is connected to the crankshaft of a vehicle. As crankshaft is rotated, the cam is also rotated. As it will return to the topward, it will brake takes place between these two parts. As the brake takes place, here there is no power supply from this part, only remains power will take place here, and due to this a very large amount of EMF is produced in the secondary coil. Okay, now then from the secondary coil it may produces a power maximum up to 30,000 voltage. For 30,000 voltage, this high power is 13,000, minimum is 13,000. This high power is supplied to the distributor. In distribution a rotor is connected. As the rotor rotate around one cycle, the high power is supplied to the spark plug through wire, and the spark plug is connected in the cylinder. Due to this high power a combustion takes place. As combustion takes place, a power is generated. That power is utilized to run the vehicles. Okay, now this complete working principle is called as an ignition system. Again there are three different types of ignition systems are there. First one is the battery ignition system, second one is the electromagneto ignition system, one more is electronics ignition system. These three systems are used to ignite the system in different vehicle based on the given vehicles. Okay, now this complete working principle is for the ignition system. Okay, I hope you understand this concept. So next class we will study about the different types of ignition system and their working principle. The main function of this ignition is to produce a large amount of power. Okay, na? Thank you.